What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and once again I am here with
Gershwan.
and we're back to bring you another installment of For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put a question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. And that is what Oakmere Road did. He asks, do the other races / factions have their own equivalent of Terra? So yeah, Terra is the homeworld of the Imperium. So let's just go down the line. So you have the Adaptus Mechanicus, they have Mars.
The Tau Empire have Tau.
The Kroot have Pack.
Yeah, I believe that's how you pronounce it.
The Vespids also have their own little world. Do you know what it's called?
I don't.
Check out our 40 facts on the Vespids. It's there.
Yeah.
The
Tyranids, they're a special one because they don't really have a homeworld in this galaxy.
Yeah, they don't know where they're coming from, and based on the Battlefleet trailers and the lore that has been written of like where they're coming from, they're just massive. They're coming from all over the place.
Yeah, they're coming from outside the galaxy into ours, and it's almost like they're kind of corralling us as they devour everything.
And then the Necrons, that's still a mystery. I think that GW is holding on to that one. They've dropped a couple hints here and there, specifically tied to like galaxy or planet destroying weapons. So the closer you get to their home world, it seems like the juicier the technology becomes. We might see it later on with the Silent King's return and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we might get some more information on it because of the Pariah Nexus, but we'll see.
That's right. Who else we got?
Well, we have we'll say the Eldar first. So the Eldar, their home world was actually the core of the Eye of Terror. That is actually where Slaanesh was birthed. And all of those like home planets or all of those worlds that made up the core of the empire of the Eldar became maiden worlds or crone worlds. And now they're within the warp, so they're demonic. Some of them are outside of it, but they're just like husks of what they used to be.
Yeah, you've got Kamarov or the Dark Eldar, which is like a city that spans pretty much a whole world.
Yeah, what's cool about them is it's like a pocket dimension within another pocket dimension, and then those have other pocket dimensions. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's a really interesting way to like still be doing like all these nefarious things, but not really be fueling chaos.
Yep, and then you have the Exodites, and then they have their actually they have maiden worlds. So those are the ones that like think of the Amish or like the Mormons with Utah, or the Mennonitas with where are they from? Chihuahua?
I think so. No,
because it's Chihuahua cheese, right?
Yeah.
Sonora? I don't know.
You've got the Harlequins who are in the warp in the Black Libraries.
Yep. And then you have
Chaos. I guess you could say it's like the Gardens of Nurgle, the Labyrinth Tower of Zeech.
And each Primark has his own homeworld. So those are pretty cool. And they're different than the worlds where they were scattered to. Those are quarantine planets. But you have like Magnus the Red, who has the planet of the Sorcerers. That doesn't mean that... what was his planet before? Per something with a P?
Yeah.
Well,
I can't remember.
If I remember, but that one's still around. Orcs don't really have a core. Well, they used to have like their Olinor, which was like the biggest, baddest orc empire, and it might have been where the old ones first created the orcs. That's actually Armageddon.
Which, yeah, that's crazy to think like how important Armageddon is to the Imperium, but it's like you look past the eyes of a human, it's
it used to be it might have been the capital of the orcs.
Yeah, which is crazy to think about.
And then what do we have left? That's it, right?
Necrons we did, Tyranids we did, Tau, Space Marines. Well, I guess Space Marines you could go into like Chagoras, Macragge, Bao. Yeah, there's a bunch.
Yep. So
yeah, there's a lot, and wherever you see a home world, just know that it's just a base. From there, it just spreads out.
Right.
Just look at all the Tau spheres and all that stuff.
Yes, sir.
This one is by blah blah. If 10 aside from bad writing, Is there ever an inlore reason that explains why Drago does the things he does? So yeah, Drago was written to be super overpowered. This guy fought against demon Primarchs and won. He's been pushed into the warp and has not gone crazy, has not gone chaotic, and he's literally just a freaking train of destruction with no brakes. Lore-wise, the reason I could say why he's so strong is because Grey Knights are rumored to have the gene seed of the Primarch himself. Not just that, but they are superbly strong psychers, and this guy is just like the best of the best. Even at being such a low level, he was doing crazy feats that like chapter masters were capable of. So as he rose through the ranks, as he got more experience and whatnot, he just became freaking Primarch level.
Yeah, so it's skill.
Yeah.
That lore-wise could explain that.
Mm-hmm.
And then like when, I think one of you guys were saying that when he fought Mortarion was trying to monologue and he was like, nope. So he's kind of like sucker punched him in a way.
Yeah. And just one of the crazy feats is that within the warp, there is a bloodthirster who basically melted and destroyed Drago's sword. So what Drago did was he beat the freaking bloodthirster up with just his fists, took the demon axe of the bloodthirster, used his psychic powers to melt it and reforge it into a sword, which he then used to behead that bloodthirster.
So he's skillful.
Just think about that. One Space Marine took down a bloodthirster with his bare hands in the bloodthirster's home turf.
It's badass.
It is. Is it too much? Probably.
That's why he's not around anymore.
Yeah, he only comes out a few times because he was cursed, so he's stuck in the warp, but he can still come out with his willpower alone and kind of help out the Grey Knights, but then he gets sucked back then. Mm-hmm.
This next question comes from Ricardo Gray. If 10 Katari and 10 Tau warriors fought, who would win? Win all other factors being equal. My money's on the Katari.
Skatari against Fire Warriors, yeah. Skatari are
Lobotomized warriors.
Yeah, they don't feel pain, like they'll keep on trucking. Mm-hmm. Tau Fire Warriors, they don't have good eyesight or depth perception, so it's which is weird because they're supposed to be good at range. So with their helmets and their war gear and weapons, like they could do okay, but once the Skatari close in on them, which they will because they're not going to get slowed down by feeling plasma bolts and stuff. Yeah. And not just that, but I think Tau are smaller in stature and like weaker physically. So,
I think it would be a really fun game to play if we did like a small 50 power level or 25 power level game, because there's like you can control the units a little bit better and have like an assassination type of thing where like you secretly get a unit that you have to destroy and you don't tell the other team. Because if it was on the tabletop, I feel like the Fire Warriors would still be able to outmaneuver the Skatari.
Yeah.
The Skatari have range, but I think the power of the plasma rifle is still...
I think it's still the best infantry gun.
Yeah, so that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, strength 5, no AP, 1 damage, with like 36-inch range.
Yes. Next question.
This one's by Boom 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 Boom. Not that many poems, but you get it. His question is, the Tyranid hive mind has absorbed countless space marines. Since they are flawed due to the Emperor's usage of dark powers to design their Primarch fathers, could it be that the hive mind is getting corrupted, and as such, so are its spawns? I don't think so, because if you look at the actual Tyranid creatures that were spawned from the genetic material of Space Marines, it's the Hive Guard, and those are pretty powerful units.
Yep.
If it was affecting, Tyranids in general, I think the Hive Mind would be smart enough to not use that Space Marine genetic material biomass and just like not incorporate it.
Right. I agree.
He's also got a part 2. Are there any known improvements based on the Space Marine's DNA in the hive mind's creation? Well, the
Hive Guard.
Hive
like
Guard.
We just talked about.
Yeah, their weapons, like they could move their trajectory mid-flight. So it's like they shoot, and what they shoot is a living creature, and that has like spines or fins that could propel and like move around corners and stuff.
Also, you have Hive Fleet Cronus, which is adapting itself to the warp or demons and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's meant to fight against demons.
This next question comes from Ali Parada. Have either of you two been recognized in public? If so, how was that experience? Yeah, it's happened a couple times. Like when we go to the GW store, like there'll be people sitting down like, "Oh, we recognize you." I mean, we get people saying like, "Oh, keep up the great work." So kind of the same thing that we see on in the comment section.
Yeah,
we've never had anybody say anything negative, and that's just because like, I mean, at the end of the day, we're just two guys, and all of the negativity is like, it just wouldn't manifest in real life, because when you have somebody in front of you, it doesn't manifest. We've been asked if we're gay. That's about it.
Yeah,
that's not
that was
negative,
an interesting time. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
And then if you guys do see us in public, just talk to us, because it's fun to talk to players, because we get to know like what type of games or what type of army you play. I actually had a conversation because I was like I told you guys, I think in a previous episode, I was looking for a Space Marine Codex. So I bumped into this guy who went to a hobby shop, and then we just started talking about, we had our masks on because right now everybody has to wear masks. So I don't think he recognized like who I was, but it was fun to talk to him because he's a complete stranger. But the fact that he was looking at Warhammer stuff and I was looking at Warhammer stuff, we were able to like communicate, and we were able to talk about the tabletop for a while. And it's fun to talk tactics and painting and things like that with people.
Yeah, get a different perspective on things.
Yeah, because we do have, like, because of quarantine, like, we have our group and that's it. So, yeah. And you guys.
This next question is by Nick Anzalone. What horror movie villain do you think would fit in with the Night Lords? For example, Freddy, Chucky, etc.
The Dark Knight, the evil one from the Greg Capullo one.
Oh, I could see it.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really funny and really interesting to have gremlins.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, they're kind of going to be like Gretchen. Like, you're not really going to pay attention to them, but if you ignore them, they could, do damage.
Kind of like the Dark Angels have those guys, what are they called? The little hooded...
the Watchers?
Yeah, the Watchers.
No.
Yeah, the Watchers.
Is that's what they're called?
But it would be like that for them.
Mm-hmm. But it would have to be like those gremlins from like 3, where they get different mutations, like the spider gremlin, the bat gremlin.
Have you seen the Key and Peele skit for like how they came up with that?
No.
It's really funny. Because they go crazy with some gremlins, right? Like a skateboarding gremlin for some reason. Next question.
The Demon Fox 38. Do you ever think we'll get the Dark Adaptus Mechanicus as a playable army?
Yes.
Yeah, I really want them to, because you see all these like awesome, crazy like kit bashes and conversions, and it's just like it looks so grimdark, and it fits really well with the aesthetic of like Blanchitsu and like how old 40K used to be.
Yep.
We just gotta wait.
Yeah, and I mean, like it's gonna come because it's in stories, so it's just only a matter of time. We'll probably see them in Blackstone Fortress first, maybe Necromunda, but eventually.
Yeah. Because just the awesome models that you can do with that, it's good.
Yeah. This next question comes from Alejandro Pardo Sanchez. Why is Abaddon now Primark size? Is he equally powerful? Grows his armor with him? Well, yeah, he's a Chaos Space Marine, so that's the whole point of Chaos Space Marines. They've been around 10,000 years, and it is the not the sorcerers, but like it's the fact that they are devoted to the Chaos Gods, and the Chaos Gods are giving them boons that makes them so, like, tough.
Mm-hmm. And not just that, but I think, like, tabletop-wise, they're kind of pushing everything through to that more true-to-scale size.
Like the true-to-scale Terminator for the Warhammer Day that should be going out at the end of the week.
Mm-hmm.
That guy looks cool.
Yeah. He's got that little, like, hand flamer.
Next question.
This one is by Nicholas Jimenez. Would a Primark be able to recognize his gene seed in a Space Marine chapter? Excuse me. So just by looking... Oh, wow. I'm gassy today. So just by looking at a Space Marine, would a Primark know that, hey, that's my progenitor?
I think so. I mean, it depends on what the thing is. Like, if a chapter turns into a wolfen, or like shows wolfen curse, then Lehman Russell's gonna be like, oh, okay, you guys are my children. Mm-hmm. Sorry about that.
But at the same time, too, it's like most Space Marines, whenever you see them, they're in the chapter's colors.
That's true.
Or if they're not, they're like wearing robes, or there's always going to be something to like, kind of, say, hey, this is a Iron Hands, because he's got an iron hand.
And remember that sometimes when it says that the founding chapter is unknown, or like, the founding chapter, or like the Primark is unknown, the gene seed is unknown, probably because it's a traitor. Yeah. Traitor gene seed.
And there have been instances of when Space Marines are asked to give their tides, they either don't or they give other gene seed that's from a different chapter to hide, who they really are.
Basically.
Yeah. Which is cool to think about.
They'd be hiding. Next question.
This one's by Kyle Gardner. Do any Space Marines in any chapter, or any other affiliation for that matter, use Necron Phase Blades? Yes, that is the Death Watch. They use them specifically, mainly because even though it's heretical to use Xenos technology, pretty much the AdMech is saying, oh no, it's not Xenos technology, it's an old human STC. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's how they kind of get away from that.
This next question comes from Adam Lee. Did you guys used to sit on a bed, or is that a weird dream I've never admitted? You're like an OG viewer. Yes, we used to sit on a bed. We used to have a completely different room, but there was still a window behind us with a little paint chip that you guys used to talk about, like, oh, paint that.
Paint and chip, yeah.
Yeah, I no longer live in that room or in that house. Somebody, like, earlier in the week, somebody said, you guys should get a studio. And, like, I've never wanted to get a studio because, like, I don't want to give you guys the impression that, like, we are more... Like, we're just two guys talking about the lore of Warhammer 40K straight from the source. So, like, the codex. And, like, we sometimes do other things. But we've never been consistent on any of the other things. Like, it's always, like, seasons or whatever. So, like... We're not trying to be like some big thing like mini wargaming, I guess. But maybe we'll get a studio someday. Next question.
Jim Dighton, are you guys single? I like to think I'm a multi-organism being. So, in a way, I am a collective.
Yeah, our bodies are basically the Tyranid hive mind. Mm-hmm. Like, our brain is multicellular, or everything in our body is multicellular. So no, we're never alone.
But we always are.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is an interesting one. I lost it. No.
I got one from Gruss Darkheart. Why didn't the Emperor get installed into a dreadnought? Because he had to power the Astronomicon.
Yeah. If they made the Golden Throne as like the cockpit for a dreadnought, I guess, yeah.
But then he probably wouldn't be able to leave Terra.
Yeah, and not just that, but like if the Emperor goes down, that's a huge blow. Like to have the Emperor in the front lines, like that's a no-no.
Yep.
Oh no, I can't find it. I had it.
I have another one from Yarshman. Mm-hmm. Is Mars still dangerously cold and hostile to unprotected humans? For the most part, yeah. They have habitational domes, but yeah. And it wasn't. So, like, during the Dark Age of Technology, or the Golden Age of Technology, Mars was terraformed. It looked awesome, but the degeneration and the stagnation and the Age of Strife reduced it back to like the red crusty planet that we know and love.
Yeah. And I found it. This one is by Auntie. Do things in the 40K universe have an afterlife? Like, we know that demons can just pop back into the warp and back into real space, but what exactly happens to normal humans, to Space Marines? Where do they go after death?
Check out our 40 facts on Afterlife. Because every single race has their own, like, place.
Yeah. It's kind of like a pantheon, kind of, where each belief has its own, like, heaven and hell and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but specifically for what you're asking, it is rumored by the Imperial Creed, and is probably really happening because of the way that the Emperor is becoming a god. When a human dies or a Space Marine dies, his soul goes into the Immaterium, into the realm of the Emperor. More specifically, they become soldiers of the Army of the Light.
Mm-hmm.
Which is where, like, the rumor is that, like, oh, that's what the Legion of the Dam are and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the saints, that's how they get, like, their power and whatnot.
Or how they come back to life and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it's interesting to think, because it's like, if that actually is a thing, well, what about, like, non-sentient creatures? Or what about, like, Xenos? Like, what happens to the Hrud, to Zotes?
Mm-hmm. Those, I'm not too sure. But, like, Eldar, Orc, stuff like that, we know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. Thank you guys so much for listening to us. Talk to you tomorrow.
This has been The Sound Alchemist.
Trish1.
And we are out.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation.